Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. One of the biggest shames about Naruto as a universe is that so many cool clans are introduced, but they're killed off before we even really get to see anything about them. The Kaguya clan, the Yuki clan, the Uchiha, the Senju, the Uzumaki. And while we usually get to see one or two members of these clans to introduce us to these clans, clan-specific Kekkei Genkai, like Haku from the Yuki or Kimimaru from the Kaguya, that's basically all we get to see. While with people like the Uchiha and the Senju and even the Uzumaki, we get to see more than one character. At the same time, we would love to see the entire clan. But unfortunately, since these clans have been killed off, that's a reality we'll never truly get to see. Or is it? What if I told you that the Uzumaki clan was still very much alive, and they still very much play a role in the Land of Fire to this day? You probably wouldn't believe me because every single Naruto fan knows for a fact that the Uzumaki clan was killed off, right? But did they get them all? And I'm not just talking about Nagato or Kushina or Naruto here. I'm talking about an entire subsection of the Uzumaki clan living very close to and having daily dealings to do with the Land of Fire. But before we get into this tinfoil hat territory, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And while you guys are click-clacking away, guys, please, for me, go ahead and follow my other YouTube page, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking about Naruto, I talk any other anime. We just posted a video about Chainsaw Man. Before we get into all that, guys, today we gotta talk about our favorite reoccurring sponsor to the page, Squarespace. Squarespace is a one-stop shop opportunity for you to build your brand or your business. And it doesn't matter what that brand or business is. It could be clothing, food, custom stickers. But I know what you're saying, building a website is intimidating. But Squarespace offers you a myriad of very helpful and very easy to use tools to build a beautiful website. A website that'll allow you to both engage with your audience and sell your product. Some of these tools include member areas, where people running their business can put content behind a paywall, and only those who pay for that gated content get access to it, which creates an entirely new revenue stream for people like me. But since we're talking about people like me, Squarespace also has a video content creator tool. This tool allows you to make beautiful videos effortlessly on Squarespace, allowing you to make clickable and engaging videos for your audience. Your audience, which you can keep track of using the analytics that Squarespace provides you. And these analytics not only give you insight onto how your business is doing, but how to improve your business, with tools that tell you where site visits or sales are coming from, and how to make sure that those site visits turn into sales. So what are you guys waiting for? Go to squarespace.com today for a free trial. And if you're ready to start your Squarespace adventure, at the end of that free trial, go to squarespace.com/nchammer23 for 10% off your order. So what are you guys waiting for? Go ahead and build that brand. Before we get into this video, guys, I'd like to shout out Teebry Sensei. He was the inspiration for this theory. So the Uzumaki clan, as far as we understand it, they've been wiped off the face of the earth. Basically, all we know about the Uzumaki clan history is that 4 of the 5 major ninja villages came together in a collaborative effort to wipe them out. These 4 villages were the stone, the sand, the lightning, and the water, with obviously Konoha, who was an ally of the Land of Whirlpools, aka the Uzumaki, sitting out. At least as far as we understand the Uzumaki clan massacre, that's what happened. See, the reason that the Uzumaki clan was massacred is the same reason that many clans have been massacred. The abilities they possessed were too strong. The Uzumaki's almost limitless life force, on top of their ability to use adamantite chains and creation of incredible Fuin jutsu like Reaper Death Seal, made them a threat to everybody who wasn't allied with them. And if an incredibly powerful village like the Hidden Leaf was allied with them, it only made the Hidden Leaf that much more powerful, especially in the era of tailed beasts. You see, we've seen from both Kushina and Karin that one Uzumaki clan member using adamantite chains is enough to seal a tailed beast. And since adamantite chains are something that every single Uzumaki clan member had to know, that is a big threat, especially when you consider the fact that because of an Uzumaki's insane life force and chakra stores, that they were basically the perfect Jinchuriki. Tie all those reasons up together and you have a clan of people who basically have no reason to not have every single tailed beast. And without every other single tailed beast, they were about as strong as any other hidden ninja village. So if you were to add even just one tailed beast, the Uzumaki would have been nigh unkillable. These are all things we know. The questions we have around the Uzumaki clan massacre largely revolve around the Hidden Leaf's involvement. See, while conventional canon knowledge tells us that the Hidden Leaf wasn't involved, based off what we know about the Naruto world's geography, there's basically no way that Konoha could have not been involved. And geography is going to be a big part of today's theory video, so we might as well get it out of the way. You see, we learned from Kushina where the Land of Eddies, aka the Land of Whirlpools, was located. It's a small island off the east coast of Konoha, kind of like 1/5 of the way between Konoha and the Land of Water. But that location is somewhat suspicious. I mean, obviously people like the Land of Lightning or the Land of Water could launch an attack on the Land of Eddies without having to go through Konoha. The problem then becomes, how did the sand and the stone get to the Land of Whirlpools without going through Konoha? And if they did go through Konoha, how did they go unnoticed? Of course, there's the possibility that Konoha didn't want to see them. What do I mean by that? Well, I've made a video talking on this theory already, but basically I'll do a TLDR here on the theory. In the era of tailed beast, there was really only 3 people who could seal a tailed beast. The first Kazekage and/or Rasa, Gaara's father, the Uzumaki, in Hashirama. Now, obviously, amongst these 3, Hashirama and Uzumaki are the most proficient, and Hashirama had already made sure that there would be Uzumaki blood in Konoha forever, really, by marrying his wife Mito and having children, thus ensuring that for a long time, Konoha would have perfect Jinchuriki. And Hashirama's already collected all of the tailed beasts. The problem that then arises for Hashirama, though, while he's incredible at collecting the tailed beasts, so are the Uzumaki. So in order to eliminate the 1 people on Earth who actually stand a chance in out collecting tailed beasts from Hashirama, Hashirama turned a blind eye to the Uzumaki clan massacre, thus ensuring all roads funnel through Hashirama and the Hidden Leaf. Now let's talk about the Uzumaki clan massacre itself. We don't know a huge amount. Basically everything that we know we learned from Kushina, who was sent to Konoha a couple of years before the Uzumaki clan massacre. But we can infer a lot of knowledge based on context clues. Obviously 4 villages marching onto an island would be an insane force. An insane force that would probably be able to wipe out the majority of people on said island. But these weren't Land of Fire shinobi, and they had no familiarity with the Land of Whirlpools. This was a foreign island significantly far away from any of the home villages that these shinobi came from. And on top of that, if hypothetically Hashirama was not turning a blind eye to the massacre of the Uzumakis, his allies, this move by 4 major ninja villages on the allies of the Hidden Leaf could be very much considered an act of war. However, the fact that it wasn't considered an act of war very much leads me to the conclusion that Hashirama did purposely turn a blind eye to it, because like you may read them and you had so much fear and or respect for Ashina Uzumaki that you literally put the Land of Whirlpools patch on your Jonin's jackets. So like, why didn't you mount a counter-offensive against all of the people massacring your allies? But hypothetically, this alliance of these 4 ninja villages maybe understood that there might be a counter-offensive and therefore had to rush through this supposed massacre. Mind you that the Land of Fire and the Land of Whirlpools are so close together that you can build a bridge to it. What do I mean by that? We'll talk about it in a second. But also, here's the thing, the track record for massacres not being completed is pretty long. Kimimaru survived the Kaguya clan massacre, and the only reason all of the Kaguya clan died is because all of them were bloodthirsty animals who wanted to attack the Land of Water. Haku survived the Yuki clan massacre, and in fact Haku himself stated that there was other Yuki clan members living in the Land of Water who just simply didn't show their Kekkei Genkai. And we're gonna focus specifically on the Yuki clan. See, basically all throughout the Naruto universe, if your clan has a Kekkei Genkai, you will be targeted at some point or another. However, the Yuki clan serves as a blueprint that clans who have specific Kekkei Genkais or abilities that are feared because they're so powerful can continue living. Because here's the thing, nobody knows that you have certain abilities unless you use said abilities. And thus the Yuki clan, understanding that if they use their Ice Kekkei Genkai, they'll be targeted by the Land of Water and killed off, simply became farmers or shop runners and just stopped using their Ice Kekkei Genkai. Haku was by no means the last member of the Yuki clan. So this theory is here to speculate as to whether or not all of the Uzumakis were truly killed in this massacre. And before it sounds like I'm just asking questions, there's actual evidence to back up the fact that the Uzumakis may still actually be around. See, like I said earlier, we learned from Kushina where the Land of Whirlpools and or the Land of Eddies was. It's a little island off to the east of Konoha's coast. But that's a bit odd, because there's also another very important island off the eastern coast of the Land of Fire. And that would be the island that one of the first arcs in Naruto revolves around, the Land of Waves. You see, we understand that the Land of Waves is off the eastern coast of the Land of Fire because when Gato was explaining the Land of Waves geography in the bridge project that he's currently trying to shut down, we see the Land of Waves, which looks a lot like the Land of Eddies on the map, mind you, in terms of like geographic shape, and the bridge that the Land of Waves is currently trying to build to the Land of Fire. And as we see it in the manga, the bridge is leaving the western coast of the Land of Waves to reach the Land of Fire. That is to say that geographically it points at that bridge is going to intersect with the eastern coast of the Land of Fire. And thus we have a situation on our hands. We know from Kushina exactly where the Land of Eddies is. But here's the thing from Gato, a couple hundred chapters before we learned anything about the Uzumaki clan massacre, an island that looks exactly the same geographically as the Land of Eddies is also placed canonically off the eastern coast of Konoha. And if you look at the Naruto map as a whole, there's only one island off the eastern coast of Konoha. Not to mention we have literally one photo of the Land of Whirlpools. whirlpools. And that's when Kushina was talking about the Uzumaki clan massacre, and it shows us an image of the destroyed land of whirlpools. What we see from the land of whirlpools is a massive city with a river cutting through two sides. Think of like how the river cuts through the middle of Chicago. On both sides of this river, there's massive yet destroyed city. But I want to focus on the river. See, obviously rivers exist everywhere, but one place that they are explicitly stated to be everywhere in is the land of waves. In fact, referring back to the moment when Gato was showing us the map of the land of waves, we see it is bisected by numerous rivers, which makes the land of waves itself seem like an archipelago of tightly brought together islands. So not only is the shape of the land of whirlpools and the land of waves very similar, and they're supposedly located in the exact same place geographically by looking at them through the images that we have, they're also very similar. And to take this theory even one step further, the land of waves doesn't have a hidden village. You see, almost all countries, regardless of how small they are, have a hidden village. The village hidden in the grass, the village hidden in the hot water, the village hidden in the rice paddies. All of these, real, canonical, hidden villages. And in fact, we got to see how many hidden villages there was in Shikamaru Shinden, when we saw the representatives of over 100 small hidden villages come to a continental committee. So why is the land of waves the only place without a hidden village? Are they too small? Maybe, but they're not that much smaller than the land of grass, and we know that the land of grass has a hidden village. So is it because that they're all focused on shipping and commerce and fishing? I mean, yeah, that's probably the real reason, but why are they all focused on shipping and commerce and fishing? Why amongst them is there no ninja? Why do they have to depend on Konoha for ninja work? Well, maybe amongst them there is people capable of being ninjas, but the problem is the small problems that their island is sometimes posed with will become a whole lot larger should these people who have potential to be a ninja show that potential. What am I saying? Well, let's talk about the Land of Waves arc. The Land of Waves for a couple of decades has been a relatively peaceful and prosperous place. It's a small nation dependent on fishing and shipping and commerce. And while they're not going to step onto the world stage at any time, they're fine. That is until they decide to build a bridge from their island to the Land of Fire. Something Gato, who wants to keep control over this relatively small island, doesn't like because it would bring in more Konoha shinobi. Should hypothetically, let's say, there be a couple of Uzumaki still alive in the Land of Waves and they use their latent ability to get rid of Gato and his gang. Sure, obviously they wouldn't have to deal with Gato and his gang anymore, but you know those 4 major ninja villages that teamed up to make sure that all of the Uzumakis were dead? They would probably hear about a couple of people busting out adamantite chains on a low-level thug. And now, mind you, Hashirama is dead, and thus any full-blooded Uzumaki could be used to bind any tailed beast anywhere, with no more competition from the hidden leaf. So if one of these 4 ninja villages do hear this little tale of a low-level thug getting wrapped up in golden chains, one of 2 things can happen. 1, they can go for the massacre part 2. Everybody loves a sequel. Or 2, they can come to the village and try to abduct as many people who have these abilities as possible. Because the only thing better than wiping out everybody who can control tailed beasts is monopolizing their power. And thus, just like the Yuki clan, these people with massive potential to be ninja decide not to be in order to not bring unwanted attention and therefore a possible massacre. And thus a system of pacifism has arose. However, this pacifism doesn't apply to everybody. You see, obviously after the Uzumaki massacre, there could be a couple of Uzumakis left. And while hypothetically they could have children with each other and then repopulate through those means, we know for a fact that fishermen come through the Land of Waves all the time. Kaiza, one of the key characters in the Land of Waves arc, was a traveling fisherman who fell in love with somebody in the Land of Waves and decided to stay. And when he stood up to Gato, he was killed for it, but nobody in the Land of Waves tried to save him. Now, this could obviously be because none of them were strong enough, or because they were all concerned about the greater consequences that would come by stepping in. But I hear what you're saying.
Well, if the Uzumaki are still alive in the Land of Waves, why doesn't everybody have red hair?
Well, why doesn't Naruto have red hair? Why doesn't Tsunade have red hair? The only half Uzumaki we've ever seen with red hair was Nagato. So after 1 or maybe even 2 generations of interbreeding with traveling fishers and commerce men, the Nagato red hair could have disappeared entirely. Or those who were born with red hair could be forced to hide it, considering the fact that if the Uzumakis were discovered to still be alive, who knows what would happen. And not to mention that the current system of the Land of Waves being dependent on the Land of Fire for ninja work would play exactly into what Hashirama would have wanted in my previous theory. You see, Hashirama, by turning a blind eye to the Uzumaki, has essentially made the Uzumaki dependent on the leaf instead of vice versa. All the while, the Uzumaki bloodline continues to live in the leaf and act as the leaf's Jinchuriki. And whether or not all the Uzumaki are dead or not, they now live in fear of their own abilities and thus would never rise up or show themselves by sealing a tailed beast. And if all of that isn't enough for you, there's also the symbology of the Land of Waves arc. Naruto is the last surviving Uzumaki in the Land of Fire, At least during the Land of Waves arc he was. And thus, to our knowledge, at the time, the only Uzumaki left. And thus, Naruto represented the last connection between the Uzumaki and Konoha, which is weird when you consider the fact that the bridge that now connects the Land of Waves to the Land of Fire is called the Great Naruto Bridge. Now, obviously, it was named the Great Naruto Bridge by Tazuna because Naruto played a large role in the completion of said bridge. But also, if you take a step back and look at the symbolism of this bridge in accordance to this theory, it quite literally connects the Uzumaki and the Land of Fire, and it is called Naruto, showing that Naruto has created a path for the Uzumaki to return to the hidden leaf. And the thing is, they already have. See, we understand that there is a lot of incredible carpenters in the Land of Waves. I mean, they were able to build a bridge that literally connected the Land of Waves to the Land of Fire. But we've learned that these carpenters have actually played a relatively central role in Konoha's history since that moment. See, Tazuna and a bunch of the carpenters that built the Great Naruto Bridge also helped rebuild Konoha after the Pain Assault. Think about that for a second. Rebuild Konoha after Naruto had saved it. And thus the Pain Assault acts as a literal metaphor for the closing of the era when the Uzumaki weren't allowed in Konoha, and it opens the book to a new era. And the thing is, the chapters continue. We learned that these carpenters also played a central role in several other reconstructions in Kakashi Hiden. They rebuilt the Blood Prison, and they also created the Orcas, which is a 230-meter long flying ship, able to fly at 5,000 meters with 60 passengers, meant to revolutionize travel and commerce. And they created these Orcas, also known as the Tobisachi Marus, while collaborating with Konoha. When you consider some of these engineering feats and the fact that after the Naruto Bridge was completed, that the Land of Waves has began to enterprise and grow in strength, it's not crazy to assume that the genius of the Uzumaki has now been applied to things outside of ninja work. And while we may not see a bunch of red-headed adamantite chain wielding people running around right now, it's not crazy to believe that the Uzumaki blood runs through the blood of the Land of Waves. In Naruto, both literally and metaphorically, is the reason that that blood was able to return to Konoha, but this time with a different kind of usefulness. But what do I know? I'm just a man yelling at the internet. If you guys liked this theory, please tell me in the comments below. And while you're down there, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And while you guys are at it, go ahead and drop Teebry Sensei a follow. Without him, I probably wouldn't have had the inspiration to make this video. Listen, I'm not saying that I would abandon my life as a ninja to be a fisherman's wife, but like, have you seen Kaiser?